A warm greeting. Today is Sunday, September 28, 2025. This is meteorologist Ruben Garcia. In today's video, I will be giving an update on the recently formed Tropical Storm Imelda, which is currently affecting parts of central and northern Bahamas. I will also update the forecast regarding powerful Hurricane Humberto, which continues to be a major hurricane. And the good news is that after several days of uncertainty regarding the forecast of Tropical Storm Imelda, today we have high consensus in the forecast for both cyclones. Tropical Storm Imelda no longer represents a direct impact threat. The situation is different for Bermuda, where eventually Tropical Storm Imelda could pass very close to or over the island as a hurricane. Later I will talk to you about the effects related to wind, rain, and storm surge that both cyclones will generate. But first, briefly, I wanted to mention that we will be keeping an eye on some tropical waves coming off Africa in the coming days, since some models show the possible development of a low-pressure system by the end of this week, which could find marginally favorable conditions for development in the tropical Atlantic. Specifically, some model members, such as Google's artificial intelligence model, develop a tropical depression or tropical storm in about 7 to 8 days. However, this is very preliminary and we will have many days to monitor calmly. The important thing is that for the Eastern Caribbean, at the moment there is no tropical cyclone threat. Now let's return to the southwestern Atlantic region, which is very active today. Tropical Depression 9 strengthened into Tropical Storm Imelda, while about 400 miles north of Puerto Rico we have powerful Hurricane Humberto, which after having intensified into a Category 5 hurricane has weakened slightly, but continues as a Category 4 hurricane with maximum sustained winds of 145 miles per hour. Fortunately, the circulation center is located over Atlantic waters, and fortunately the strongest winds should remain over Atlantic waters during its track across the ocean. Regarding Tropical Storm Imelda, it continues producing heavy downpours and some tropical storm-force wind gusts across parts of central and northern Bahamas. In addition, heavy rainfall continues across parts of eastern Cuba, so the high flood risk will persist tonight and into Monday. The extent of sustained tropical storm-force winds, shown in yellow in this image, is rather small, remains far from the Florida Peninsula, and is currently affecting central Bahamas. For now, Tropical Storm Imelda remains fairly weak. Maximum sustained winds are near 40 miles per hour and strengthening during the coming days should be gradual, but eventually it could intensify into a hurricane before passing near or over Bermuda. Since last night, the movement of Tropical Storm Imelda has been quite slow, and this has resulted in the scenario in which it could approach the southeastern United States being discarded, because the circulation of Hurricane Humberto will be pulling in the circulation of Tropical Storm Imelda. Since early this morning, all specialized track models have a northward and then eastward movement, keeping it away from the United States. However, the risk of Bermuda experiencing a direct impact from future Hurricane Imelda has increased, so residents of the area must remain alert to its evolution. But I can say that there is much confidence in this forecast because we have good consensus among the models, which is very evident when we look at the ensemble members of the American model, where all of them show that trajectory during the next 48 hours toward the north and then turning east-northeast. Confidence in this forecast is very high because the European model members also show good consensus in maintaining that track, as does the Google Artificial Intelligence Model Ensemble. And if we return to speak about Hurricane Humberto, the reality is that the forecast remains almost identical to yesterday's, in which it would pass to the west of Bermuda. However, the circulation of this powerful hurricane is very broad and will continue growing during the coming days. So much so that some tropical storm-force winds may affect the island by midweek. This means it is very likely that a tropical storm watch and perhaps even a tropical storm warning will be issued for Bermuda. If we look at the official forecast from the National Hurricane Center, Hurricane Humberto should continue as a major hurricane until early Tuesday morning. However, with gradual weakening as it passes its closest point to Bermuda during Tuesday morning and then moves north-northeast over Atlantic waters. Now then, see in yellow the extent of tropical storm-force winds, which will expand as the cyclone moves northward. And although the circulation center will remain west of Bermuda, tropical storm-force winds can still affect the area. On another note, I wanted to mention that Hurricane Humberto has caused the accumulated cyclone energy of this hurricane season to rise to levels that now classify the season as normal to date. And as it continues across the Atlantic, it seems the hurricane season will move into a sector with accumulated cyclone energy well above normal. So in the end it appears the hurricane season will indeed end up being more active than normal if measured by accumulated cyclone energy. In the case of Tropical Storm Imelda, the National Hurricane Center maintains a gradual strengthening forecast and expects that by Tuesday afternoon it will already be a Category 1 hurricane. In fact, there is a possibility it strengthens into a Category 2 or Category 3 hurricane by midweek, eventually passing near or over Bermuda Thursday afternoon as a Category 1 hurricane. Now then, Let's talk about what effects will be felt across the U.S. East Coast, the Bahamas, and Bermuda, related to the track of both cyclones. First, I want you to see the wind gust projection. According to the American model, tropical storm force winds will continue affecting the northern half of the Bahamas over the next 24 hours. Then, between Tuesday and Wednesday, some tropical storm force winds associated with Hurricane Humberto's circulation will affect the island of Bermuda. By the end of the week, depending on how close the future Hurricane Imelda passes, it is possible some wind gusts over 100 miles per hour will be recorded in Bermuda. So basically from Tuesday through Friday, Bermuda will be experiencing tropical storm conditions and possibly hurricane conditions by the end of the week, while both cyclones will also produce significant rainfall totals. For example, in northern Bahamas, Tropical Storm Imelda will produce additional rainfall that could exceed 200 millimeters. Also, for coastal areas of North and South Carolina, between 2 to 3 inches of rainfall may accumulate. Depending on how close they pass to Bermuda, there is a high flood potential with rainfall totals that could exceed 150 millimeters. And we are also monitoring the storm surge event and strong wave action that will affect much of the northern Caribbean coasts, the Bahamas, and the entire U.S. East Coast. Rough surf and rip currents will affect the region basically all week long. So swimmers must use great caution, as Atlantic waters will be very dangerous this week. Well, that's all for this forecast update. Here at Hurricane Info, I will continue monitoring the evolution of Tropical Storm Imelda and Hurricane Humberto. We will also be watching the next tropical waves coming off Africa. So if you don't want to miss any of these videos, I invite you to give this video a like. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and click the bell so you receive notifications when I post new videos. I hope you all have an excellent night. See you later.